This episode of Radio is brought to you by all our amazing and generous Patreon donors. Visit us at patreon.com/RPMMORadio to help support the show. It is also brought to you by
They wait all day and night. On the off chance you'll need them only once. They patrol your cities and streets again and again, keeping evil from your door. They have coin and cannot travel. A message from home, a lost relative, a need for 10 large wasp stingers, and a bounty of the large goblin lord in the nearest woods. These are the unsung heroes without which you would have nothing to do. They are the NPCs. These brave, cowardly people are there for you in the bustling cities and the darkest caves in the most magical of hollowed dimensions. Sure, they may not be able to deliver a loaf of bread or a simple letter to someone standing a full and vast 20 feet away, but without their hard work and dedication to laziness, you would never level up. You would never get more coin or sell your fat loots. You would have nothing to kill and no motive to kill it. So today, we honor the real MVPs of MMORPGs, the NPCs. To do that, just take this voucher to your nearest merchant. I'd do it myself, but I'm no hero.
You're listening to RPMMORadio.
Does internet porn know you're cheating on it?
Where entertainment and roleplay in MMORPGs have little hybrid mutant babies.
Make a note of this. Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, dishonor on your whole family.
And now, here's your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, Civ, Jazz, Strafe, and Yunfei.
Everybody f*** off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Hello, role players. Welcome to RPMMORadio. This is our 82nd episode, NPC Play. Brought to you by one of our listeners, Manningsquared, who did request it some time ago, but it was also after an episode where we also talked about NPCs a little bit, so we waited a little bit. So thank you, Manning, for the show idea. I, of course, am Ashen Phoenix, and with me today is the crew, Jazz, Sib, Strafe, and Yunfei, and joining us from the hospital, Rahanar. I think he's still at the hospital. Pretty sure he's on his phone. So he may sound like this, and he also may say things like, ow, don't put that there.
I am indeed in the hospital, and no, you should not put that there.
Yeah. So how's everybody other than Rahanar doing? Because I'm pretty sure we all know how he's doing. He's eating well. Doing
good, Chief.
Doing good. Mm-hmm. No complaints.
Stuff in my face.
A week.
Wow, you guys are fantastic conversationalists.
It's been a crazy week. However, we're here. We're all ready to roll, and we're all happy. See these fake smiles? It totally says we're happy.
I can hear it. You got a radio smile on. It sounds fantastic.
I know. You have to have it.
Radio smile. I like that.
Yeah, he's got the face for it, too, so it works out. But thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Of course, we do this almost every Saturday, 7 Central Time, over at twitch.tv/RPMMORadio. If you have not followed us there, you're a monster. You're just an absolute monster. You should take care of that immediately. It's so much more to...
The same kind of monster that you are if you pull the seat back on your airplane. Apparently that was the thing
I
this
mean,
week.
to be fair, I paid for all of that space. I paid for the seat to recline.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You also paid for that button, so
yeah.
Is it like a litmus test? I mean, what's
exactly. The deal? So here's the deal. Like if you don't like that I lean my seat back, lean your seat back. And they'll lean their seat back. It's called dominoes. It works. That way all the space evens out. Now, the real thing is, don't put your gross, nasty-ass feet on the chair in front of you through the little crack so that I have to look at your stinky toes.
How could one even do that? Because they're here so packed and they're like sardines. I think people are really upset that there's too many seats close together. I think that's the real issue.
People like Yunfei, short people, when they're low to the ground, low center.
I do not do that, by the way.
But you could, because you've got.
I probably could, but it's gross. I wouldn't do
right.
that to somebody.
Exactly. Or would you?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
What if Strafe was sitting in front of you and I gave you $10?
No, not for $10.
Sold.
There you go.
$20?
We have a buyer. $10. Do I hear $9?
Sold.
Well, he can cheat now.
He's like, I'm just gonna do it for 50 cents. I don't care. I just
You get a half off discount.
True story. One thing, who were real monsters were me and my brother Joel back in our teenage years. We had come back from my dad's place, and it was time for visitation to end, so we had to fly back to my mom's place. Well, we took a big bag of boiled crawfish with us on the airplane back when you could bring stuff on the airplane.
Oh.
And in the middle of coach, we're sitting there eating crawfish, hooting and hollering. There started to be turbulence. We had our arms up like it was a roller coaster. And people were like, "Oh!" and running off. And me and Joel high-fived each other like, "Troll Brothers activate."
I think that's the most Texas thing I've ever heard.
That is. There might have been a yeehaw in there a few times.
It's like you said about the violently New York. That is violently Texas.
Yep, aggressively Texas.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it. Might as well have been me.
I can't even imagine. I can't even just the airports how they used to be. You just go up to the terminal and meet your family.
Went to go see. We flew from Florida one year to go hang out 4th of July with my grandpa in East Texas. I put a bunch of fireworks in one suitcase and it made it all the way.
Jeez.
This is way up. This is pre 9/11, folks.
Right? Yeah. That. Well, yeah. Clearly. Yeah. Nowadays, God help you if you have a 2.5 ounce bottle of hand sanitizer.
I have a quick story about that too. Actually, my sweet 60-something-year-old aunt got put on the no-fly list. Gahanar knows this story too.
I do.
She was flying from Maine to Seattle, Washington, and she packed fluffernutter. And anybody from Maine knows what fluffernutter is.
She packed marshmallow fluff.
Yeah, marshmallow fluff.
The nutter part didn't come into play until after you get the sandwich there.
What's that?
You don't add the nutter part until you're ready to eat.
Yeah.
Never mind. Continue your story.
That sounds like a Northeast saying. I ain't never heard no fluffernutter.
Yeah.
You've never heard of fluffernutter?
It just sounds bad in my book, bro.
Yeah.
It's marshmallow fluff and peanut butter.
Yeah, I've seen the fluff stuff, but that's Go ahead. Sorry.
So she packed the fluff to take to the people on the West Coast who apparently have trouble finding it or something. I don't know. But they wanted it specifically from Maine, so she
export ban
packed it in her luggage, which went under the plane.
Oh.
Yep.
So do you know what happens to the unpressurized cabins?
Mm-hmm.
You add marshmallow to them.
See, it's the same experiment you did in high school when you put a marshmallow in the vacuum tube thing. Yeah.
Yep, it was everywhere. So
I didn't realize that would get you on a no-fly list, though. That's
yeah, because it's considered a low-level explosive.
Oh my
God! Totally set them up the bomb.
Marshmallow fluff is there's jihadis somewhere in the middle of Afghanistan. Like, holy shit!
Yeah, so we jokingly call her the marshmallow fluff terrorist.
The marshmallow bandit.
The marshmallow bandit. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Oh my!
Also, if you have never had a fluffernutter, you are missing out, my friends.
I think it's gross.
I'm good, man. Marshmallows are on a campfire only.
I like marshmallow. I like marshmallow fluff, particularly with Rice Krispies. I like peanut butter Rice Krispies, but I do not like peanut butter and marshmallow together.
Oh, they're supposed to be grilled too. It's like a grilled cheese sandwich with peanut butter and marshmallow fluff.
Yeah, it's hot.
Oh,
I thought
if you're feeling daring, you put banana in it.
Yeah, banana. I've had that too. It's a Southern thing, I was told.
No, it's
banana.
I ain't never heard that down here, darling.
No, it's absolutely a northeast.
Yeah, this is totally northeast. Yeah.
Is it because I wasn't talking about the fluff, just the banana and the peanut butter together.
Oh, that thing. Yeah.
The grilled banana peanut butter sandwich is apparently a Southern.
Well, that's a Elvis thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes from
I
Tennessee.
searched Fluffernutters, and like the first 2 out of the first 3 say a favorite New England sandwich. A Fluffernutter is a sticky, contested New England delicacy. It's a delicacy.
So disgusting.
It's a delicacy, Jazz.
It is.
Your palate is not... You don't have the palate
what
to appreciate the
The
Fluffernutter.
sad part is, I bet I can guess what the second one is.
Fluffernutters.
I bet it's lox and bagels.
The gooey history of Fluffernutters, grilled Fluffernutter. No, it's just it's all Fluffernutter.
Oh,
Yeah. But anyway, so roleplay, I guess. That's a thing. Oh, has anybody here done any this week? Anybody?
I have. Of course.
Holy shit! Somebody still. Oh wow. So what? On the roleplay shows, one of us. Wow.
What?
I'm just surprised. I mean, it's a show.
I've done some roleplay today.
Yeah, you played the role of the pincushion, didn't you?
I roleplayed a guy with no leg.
You're a pirate. You'd be a good pirate now.
I would be a good pirate. I'm working on getting facetious.
Yeah. For those that don't know, because we haven't since
Yeah.
he's here, he lost he lost some weight. It's not how you would want to lose some weight, but he lost a little weight. I mean,
Yeah.
looking on the positive, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. In the way of his leg.
Well,
They,
part of his leg.
To be
They
fair,
had to
technically,
amputate.
it's not lost.
Well, they didn't let you.
We know where it went.
Oh my god, you guys didn't like try to do some like sort of Comic-Con prop and recreate the Christmas Story leg lamp, did you?
No.
Oh no, we absolutely kept it.
Did you bury the leg, or you got it in your freezer, bro? I mean, what's going on?
It's in the freezer.
You got your leg in the freezer. All right.
Yeah.
It's next to the Tostita pizza rolls, isn't
I don't
it?
sound redneck at all. I mean, it does, but hey.
Oh,
Wouldn't you want to keep your leg?
I'll tell you what. I got my leg in a deep freeze, man.
I
Check it
gotta
out.
be honest,
I still
I
got toenails in that toe. Look at
I
it.
don't think I would.
No, I'm good on that. I'd bury that joker. Burn it.
So, Jazz,
Yes.
what'd you do?
I got a fair amount of RP on CL, just general stuff like last week. I usually go on her when it's quiet because then I can go to the tavern and cause trouble, and it's always fun.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do poetry this week, so
Yeah, because somebody lost all their games somehow.
I lost everything.
Did you ever figure out how that happened?
I have no idea how. I still don't know how to this day how it happened.
Did you do a scan of your hard drive like I said?
No.
Well, then.
And you know why I didn't?
Why?
Because you
that
told
side just there. I was revel in it.
That's
right there. I got a double feature.
So
anyway, I got some roleplay on Kia for Guild Night, and of course Friday night was quiet, but we still had some for Talvani night. But largely, I was on CL most of the time. I'm reactivating a roleplay character in Guild Wars 2, and probably one in Tor. This is how desperate I'm getting to have roleplay. But I also went into on Monday, and what other day was it? Another day that week, I went into Fallout and leveled a little bit, and hung out with my husband on Monday night, and we scavenged. And
I mean, if you're that desperate for roleplay, you can just go into Tor, go onto Fleet, and just be like, "I'm on Fleet, and my legs are open."
Yeah, no, that's not roleplay. And no,
I'm a girl in real life.
There are some of my friends that still play, and so I would ping them and probably end up joining their guild so I could hang out with them. And I do still have an old friend in Guild Wars 2 that's been after me for a long time to come back and just make an appearance on Carrie. So
yeah. It's worth a shot,
I went in and kind of bopped around a little bit and got her RP appearance fixed and kind of figured out where, my God, I have a lot of stuff in my bags.
Right.
Because I just kind of basicly stopped playing, so I didn't organize anything when I left. And I still have people in my guild that I made. Some people didn't leave. There's 11 people in my guild. I was shocked.
Huh.
But I did spend a little time, like I said, in Fallout, so I have a little journal entry for that. So that would be the only other roleplay that I have to read. So
Okay.
Cool.
okay. This is Journal 10. Well, hello there, Journal. It's been a while. I resumed my daily scavenging, making wider arcs out into the wilderness and camping where I can find a bed off the ground. Haven't seen my friends in quite a while, for the most part, but I have seen TA for a short bit. He made me some new armor and gave me some food, and a random guy I've seen a few times out and about gave me some food too. I must look hungry, right? Jeez. I eat. I swear I do. I just move around so much that it doesn't seem to help with the gaunt look I've had since my injury. That's my theory, anyway. I met a new guy that's local here. I don't know his name. So far, I'm mostly males and only one other female, that crazy one that I met with TA. I suspect if the gene pool is going to survive, us girls are going to have a whole lot of fun and a lot of babies. Right now, though, we're pretty all set on survival. The guys are all super helpful, and I'm too tired to question their motives. Free stuff means less shit I gotta find myself. So it's all good. I am starting to get hungry for things other than food, though. I may need to pounce one of these fine boys and get this itch scratched. It's always a risk, though, for disease or pregnancy or both. Ha! Yeah, that would be my luck, right? I keep looking for birth control or herbs that would help, but so far, nothing. No idea if I can even get knocked up, if I'm honest, and I've seen 0 kids out here. Maybe we're all doomed as a race and all these rads ruined it. That would suck ass. I mean, there were kids in the shelters, I heard stories. But I think we could make them at one point, but nothing since. Of course, who would want a kid out in this nightmare? Probably something I shouldn't think about too much. Anyway, I need to get going and get my scavenge on. Later. End.
The end!
Yes.
Nicely done, Jazz.
That is copywritten. You will owe me coin.
It sounds like the terrorists have started infecting 76. I need to report this guy.
Yes.
So, okay. Well, anybody else have any roleplay this week?
No.
Okay.
Found a cool Easter egg in 76 the other day.
Oh, yeah, what's that?
So, TA was on his epic quest to find more Nuka-Cola. Instead, he found a note. A note that said, hey, the marketing guys are totally going to kill us if they find out you stole this from corporate. So here, you take a key card. I'll take a key card. I'm going to see the family in Tanagra this weekend. And we just won't talk about it. I'll budge the numbers and everything will go back to normal. This, of course, really intrigued TA. He's like, I have to find what this is about, man. So lurking around the bottom plant, he found one skeleton with a key card. It said 1 of 2. He's like, okay, well, I got this key card. Now I just got to find this Tanagra place. Well, after an epic journey through the cranberry bogs and north up past the Galleria Mall, he found what was left of this town called Tanagra. He knew it was Tanagra because the bus station said Tanagra Bus Station.
Oh, that's cool.
And then he saw something odd. He cruised into the bus station, and in a heart-shaped scrawl right on the wall, it said Jalad and Darmok with a plus. And then TA thought to himself, I wonder if they mean their arms held wide. Oh well. He kept going. Found this massive tree that had literally lifted the town off the ground and some 25 foot in the air. And he crawled it, he climbed up there, found the ruins of a house, and found a family of skeletons and another key card. 2 key cards, huh? Well, this is cool. What do I do now? Through much wandering, he ended up back towards the empty lake and the lake lodge there, and he was lurking around looking for goodies, specifically Nuka-Cola. And he found a basement that had 2 different key cards slots, and next to one it said 1, another one it said number 2, then +2. He mused for a minute. He's like, I wonder if he means 2 seconds. So he tried the key card in 1, waited 2 seconds, tried the key card in another, and lo and behold, a secret door opened, and there was a keypad. Luckily, he'd saved the notes from that he had scavenged in Tanagra, punched in the code, crossed his fingers, and said, congratulations, your Nuka award is here. And another secret door opened across the way. He lurked out there and found a key to a TNT Dome number 7. He's like, I seem to recall this place where I got my Nuka paint job. Well, let's go trek out there and find. Well, lo and behold, after a night and 2 of camping and hiking, he got to TNT Dome number 7. And once inside, he found the plans for a Nuka-Cola Quantum XO1 power armor paint. The end!
That's cool.
Sorry, I broke in on that. I didn't realize you were reading.
I was ad-libbing.
Oh.
But now the cat's out of the bag. So, for fun fact, for those of you Next Generation fans, Darmok and Jalad with his arms held wide was an episode.
Hold on.
What is that? What's going on?
Yes, whatever that's playing in the background.
What is...
Interchange. Does this sound like a reasonable course of action to you?
Is this what? Is this?
Yeah, it's where they met those aliens that talked in phrases.
Yep.
Good day beneath. Momenta.
It was neat to find an Easter egg in
Yeah.
76.
Yeah. Good old Darmok and Jalad at the walls of Tanagra. When the walls
fell.
That's
When the
right.
walls fell.
That's right. Yep, I knew that.
I love that.
Second you said Tanagra, I was like, you've got the Easter eggs.
I wasn't kidding.
Shit.
I
Yeah.
took screenshots of it and put it in our Discord chats, and only my buddy Taylor got it. He's like, his arms wide, bro. And I was like,
Yes. With his arms wide. Oh my god, that's awesome.
Gilgamesh.
All right. Well, I have again, still haven't been really role playing. I've been just kind of I think I've realized kind of what it is. It's the MMOs really need to start innovating again. They really, really do. So I think that's going to have to be an episode we're going to do when we come back after next weekend, which will be an off weekend, by the way, just as a reminder. So instead, I figure what I'll do is go back to old roleplay, to a series I did. Jazz, really?
Sorry.
You know.
Are you trimming your nails during the show?
No.
Shame. Where's the shame bell? We haven't heard that in a while.
Sorry, I thought I was
the shame
muted.
bell.
I apologize.
You're not going to shame her? Dang.
I'm not going to shame my Jazz. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do
Oh.
it. Nope.
She was clearly... Okay, all right,
You
I'll
guys
remember
get
this.
your own shame bell. Go
I
get
think
your
this
own.
is a conspiracy, Ashen.
We have a 10-yard grooming penalty.
That's right.
You know, just do your thing.
All right. So anyway, I'll go back to old roleplay on Xanus at a small series I did. I think I'll just read these now and then, called The Eternal Drifter, which was just a series of short stories I did in the time period when my character, long before roleplay and long after he was turned good and unwillingly, and just sort of wandering the world of Norath and meeting new and interesting people, and seemingly a lot of them don't it doesn't end well for most of them. But so here's Eternal Drifter, Night Watchman. You dark elves, I don't know why the gods even let you breathe the same air as the rest of us. It's disgusting to think what you breathe out, even in this wide open night air, might be breathed in my own lungs. Dark elf monk Xanus Sulegna said nothing to this. What was there to say? Already now for 3 nights he had listened to this line or something very close to it, all variations on a theme. Hatred can't be argued against. It only makes it stronger, dig in its heels and set its jaw in its own self-righteousness. 3 nights, he and the high elf Kataris Tristane had been placed together as partnered watch eyes for the northern plains. All 3 nights, Tristane never stopped talking. Xanus' faded, violent eyes scanned the dark plains, lit only with the flicker of starlight and the faintest fingernail of sliver of the moon, and shone down upon them. It's bad enough, you dark elves, but you're drifting mercenary, too. I mean, how much lower does a person get? The silver blonde strands of Katris' hair shook with his head as he stood leaning on the town's hastily built wooden defense wall. The small town was just barely that. In fact, in Xanus' opinion, it was little more than a large village with studious residents that knew a thing or two about defense. The town was made up of many races, as were most towns during these troubled times in the age of cataclysms. It had been years since the last major shake, but it had already been 50 years into this horrible age of destruction with no end in sight. Earthquakes so long and violent they tore the continents asunder, letting the seas fill in the gaps. This town was just one of many scattered across the shattered piece of a continent. Mixed people, mixed cultures, all trying to survive no matter what they were, elven, human, halfling, gnome, or in this case, even the hated dark elves. Though they and the other dark races were shunned and formed village of their own, it was just this reason he had been hired. A neighboring village of trolls, ogres, and orcs had decided that 5 miles between the two were just a little too close. Already they had attacked twice, both sides suffering heavily. The tiny town had sent out word to hire strong mercenaries to help in their defense, even erecting the wooden guard wall he now stood on. Xanis had been passing by the tree when he had seen the posted notice and headed for the village. "I still think you're a waste of town's coin. We don't really even need you." Catrus' light blue eyes scanned the thin but muscular monk, though his night cloak in the starlight covered anything more than the shadowy black outline. "You don't even look like you could swing a sword." Turning to him, finally, the dark elf's purple lips parted in a smile showing clean white teeth and nodded. "I do think you're right, Catrus Thane." This agreement only made the high elf more frustrated. Spitting over the side of the 20-foot wall, he did, however, stop talking. The ex-Shadow Knight turned monk knew a thing or two about hate. It had been his world in service to the armies of the dark city of Neriak, commanding death and destruction against the surface. Plays for power over former comrades, spreading hate in the name of the Dark Lord Father Inaruk. It is a vice that, once placed upon the heart, gnaws inward like a parasitic worm, feeding and growing stronger with every act, a parasite that could only be destroyed by shunting pride and preconceptions. Something glinted in the distance. Xanis' foot kicked out the back of the high elf's knee, causing it to give and collapsing him like a sack of wet sand as he cried out indignantly, "I knew it! You're on their side!" But his words cut short as a whistling arrow passed in the place the angry man's head used to be. "We're under attack!" he shouted. And at the same time, the realization his life had just been saved struck home. The dark elf stared into the starry night as the incoming bandits' torches lit up the fields and their charge began. "Come, let us do what we can." It had been a small force, but a small force of ogres and trolls is an army unto itself. The villagers fired arrows, stone, steel, and fire-tipped into the black waste of the plains. Those with magical ability used what they could. A small force of villagers broke out into the battle to take them head-on, led by Trithane and Xanis. Together they fought for the small village, which is now lost to the dusts of history, but at the time, the two men became comrades in arms. In the end, the bandits retreated with what little number they had left. The villagers suffered many injuries. As the two men made their way across the battlefield, checking for wounded villagers and finishing off any faking bandits with a final stroke to the neck, they did their work silently, surrounded by death. It happened quickly. The whistle of an arrow, a shout, the dark elf feeling himself pushed roughly down and out of the way, then the hot spray of red blood as the arrow sank deep into the heart of Catrus Trithane. One troll had remained alive that they had not yet gotten to. With his dying strength, he had fired an arrow straight and true at Xanis, but his troll body had given out before the arrow even found its new, unintended target. Xanis knelt close to the paling high elf. The wound was fatal and had pierced the heart. There was only the time left that his body's current flow of blood allowed. "Why? You shouldn't have." Coughing, Trithane replied in blood-stained lips, "You saved me. One does not watch a comrade died when he owes them his life. You people are murderous bastards, Xanis Sulegna. But you... He never finished his last words. The sun finally rose upon the battlefield, and a new day had risen. Go, Catras Tristane. Go without hate beyond the veil. So that's my old story. The end! That everybody's on mute.
Very well done.
I was listening
I was
intently,
start talking,
bro.
and I was like,
I know, I
wait a
just
minute.
wanted to make sure. It's like, oh, I know.
I started talking, and I was like, wait, I'm on mute.
Yep, that's why I said that. Yep.
Very well done. That's a goodie and an oldie.
I love that stuff, man. You did those so neat.
Yeah, I think I might actually go and do all of them, but we'll see. We'll see. If people enjoy it, we'll see. I did enjoy it. That's one of my favorite things I've probably ever written.
Your
was a series
PSAs
of
were
those.
awful good, too.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about those. Yeah.
Those were hilarious.
Yeah. All right, well, anybody else? What are you doing? Been gaming?
I believe it's Sibs and
Junfei.
Yunfei turn.
Oh, we lost Rahanar. He must have had to be nursed. It's a great thing about a hospital. You can get a solid, sometimes even 15 or 20 minutes of sleep and peace before being interrupted, poked, and prodded. It's great about hospitals like that.
Yeah.
By the way, we're here to take your temperature. I'm like, no thanks. Come back in 10 minutes.
Bend over. Here, get your temperature. Whatever you say, Nurse Gertrude.
Only if it's Gertrude, though.
Right. Well, if it is Nurse Gertrude and she tells you what to do, you better damn well do it.
Yeah, you ain't no fooling around with her.
No. So, anybody else? Sib, Yunfei?
Sib, I think, has a story.
No, I didn't get it finished. I'll have
Sad
to
face.
finish.
Yeah, we went grocery shopping before the show.
I was pretty much down all week because of my allergies.
Oh, hey, yeah, by the way.
Slept a lot. But I finally got my shot, and I feel really good now. So
Yeah, fuck you,
I've
dogwood trees.
playing Fallout the last couple days. It's been nice.
Yeah.
Been nice.
It is always
Been
good.
nice.
It's the allergy season's here, everybody. Yay! We
about
all
the
get to
uni
feel
story?
like shit.
No, I've just been unlocking people in Smash, mostly. Playing random indie games.
Are you playing with Cloud?
No, I haven't unlocked Cloud yet.
Yeah,
Face.
gotta unlock them first, and it's completely random. I know. I think there actually is something you can do to get Cloud specifically too.
Yeah, there's that adventure mode, but I don't really want to do that. I just want to fight.
Gotcha. I don't blame you.
Well, I mean, you already watched the girlfriend reviews of it, so that's pretty much all you need to know about the adventure mode, and also her awesome little ditty about it.
Yep. Oh my god, yeah.
Kirby plays in the
I
sea.
might have a story next week. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm thinking about
Cool.
Well, if you don't,
And I'll try to get
it. Or
mine
not
finished.
next week, but
right? I know what you meant.
The week after.
The next show.
when next we convene.
When next we meet, which actually brings me to another thing before we move on to the topic. Something Yunfei had suggested about what was it, Tabletop Simulator?
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll probably, we got it. Apparently they had a 4-pack, which is like $20 off if you got that instead. So we got everybody here. Some of us already had it. Others, me, Jazz, and
I haven't downloaded it
Sib.
yet.
Right. Well, you can download it. You know, I think you're on like a 56 baud now. You're up to connecting through AOL. You can download.
No,
you'll have
it's
it
actually
downloaded in no
reasonably
time.
fast considering what it used to be, but it still will probably take me all night. But
Yeah.
that's still better than it used to be. It only took me overnight to download Guild Wars 2 in its entirety, and when I bought Guild Wars 2 10 years ago, or however long it was,
yeah.
8 years ago, it took me a week to download it. So,
Oh my god.
my internet is better.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and at least this one's I know that tabletop, that's not nearly as big as an MMO download. It's hefty, but it's not that big. Although I've tried to load it up twice and it's crashed both times, which is awesome.
Oh, geez. Well,
Yeah.
we'll have to
Yeah.
sort that out.
I blame the everything. I don't know why. Yeah, just it goes to the little screen and then it just loads and then loads and loads and loads and loads, and then I click on it. It's like, this program has failed.
Which program?
The tabletop simulator.
Oh, well, I haven't even tried. Let's hope that's not a thing.
Yeah,
It's
we'll
probably
figure it out.
just some simple setting.
I'm
somewhere.
sure it's some stupid thing. And I only clicked on it twice, before the show. I was like, yeah, let's see if I can get that up and running. Take a look at it, and then nope, I can't. Nope, can't be done. It's impossible. Nobody can do it.
Is it really?
Excuse me.
It is the bug.
It is a bug. So, all right, well, moving on to our topic. We actually asked a while back if anybody had any show topics. One of them was from Indigo Jules about something that we did, not last week, but the week before. And this one's from Manningsquared. Hello, Manning, if you're listening to this.
Hello, Manning.
Good on you. About NPCs.
Call from Ben Wilson.
Hold on.
And that was a message brought to you by Unify.
So, if anyone is ever wondering what their last name was,
You can edit that out, I hope.
it's Cox. I might actually just go back and do like a beep, like it's a curse word. But yeah, I'm sure he's probably calling like, yeah, they're poking me. Or he lost connection because hospitals, yeah, lots of lead.
Hospital internet sucks.
Yeah, and all the lead poisoning. I mean, shielding. You call it what you want. So, appreciate you for giving the idea. Again, everybody out there, RPMMORadio.com/Discord. If there's something you are curious to hear us talk about or want an opinion on, feel free. You can share it openly in the Discord. You can send it to one of us privately. You can send it by paper airplane. I don't really care. Just however you want to send it, get it to us, and we'll talk about it. So, with this, it was NPCs and their role in role play, and how to use them, when's it appropriate, how just pretty much everything about them. And we had talked a little bit about it on the show when he had called in, but it did seem like something that could probably be used as more of a general overall topic, just given that we have seen some people do it absolutely amazing in their use of them, and others not as amazing. Not as amazing. So we're going to go over that. We're going to kind of start with the good, go to the bad, but also the way we always do things, it's going to be basically just a hodgepodge. We're just going to throw mud at the wall, and it's all just going to stick at once. So, obviously, NPC, non-player character. We do know what they are in the games. They're, every mob and every quest giver, everything that you actually talk to or click on, sell things to, blah, blah, blah. That's the in-game definition of it. So when it's roleplay, an NPC is technically not really an NPC anymore because it is still kind of being played by somebody. But at the same time, it's not your main character that you've got, an ungodly number of hours and experience and special effects and glowy swords and armor that has lava on it.
Set armor, man, only from the plane of fear. So
that's right.
You can't drop it. No drop gear. I'm saying.
Yeah, you don't just give that to the NPCs. That's serious gear. You gotta let these guys
business.
have the good stuff. Did you just hiss at me, or did you open a can?
I just opened up a can.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that was soda pop right there.
He just opened a can of
He's just opened up a 40.
It was a bottle of peach nuka, I'll tell you what.
Ugh. That sounds awful. You had me at the nuka, you lost me at the peach. Ugh.
Who did we lose?
Oh, we lost the
bot.
The bot. Yeah.
Well, they got California raspberry nuka for those folks out that like that berry stuff. I'll tell you what. I'm going to stick with the peach.
I don't
by the way.
really think either of those sounds all that manly, but maybe that's just me.
I miss cola.
Clearly it says Georgia peach. I'm all right with it. It's pretty good. You should give it a try.
Right. Moving on.
Fuzzy navel.
I'll tell you what.
That's
When I'm able
definitely not
to
manly.
roll up there, I'll bring some. Along with that bottle of whiskey I promised you.
For what? For me to stare at lovingly and watch you drink? Thanks anyway.
Oh, no, Jazz. You can't drink soda at all. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about Ashton.
Oh.
Yeah, we know you can't have
I'll
anything
just
that's
get
not
to
lettuce.
watch it lovingly,
Yes,
Jazz, as
you'll
him
get to
and
watch.
Passion drink the peach Nuka-Cola.
We will drink it and think of you.
Asshole.
I totally agree with that. I think that's a shame bell.
So you're going to shame Bell me
Yes.
being a troll, but you're not going to shame Bell her for grooming herself on
Yay!
This is some BS.
You got shame belled.
Ever since we lost freaking Kishmas, dude, they've been freaking running roughshod on us, bro.
Yeah. Well, they are technically 51% of the population.
You lost Kishmish, we gained Unify. That's all I got to say.
You are outnumbered.
Uh-huh. Yunfei took out Ronar's leg so he couldn't join us. I see how this conspiracy works. I'm seeing what's going on.
He's on a VPN at in the hospital because God knows you can't connect to the internet when you're in a hospital.
No.
And the data ran out.
Oh,
man.
That's why he called. He wanted to say sorry.
At least we got
here.
to talk to him for a little bit. That's all good. Now you can go back to playing Candy Crush.
True.
Oh no, he doesn't do math.
I know it's not a game he would play ever. All right. So NPCs, went over what they were, how we use them. Okay, so getting into kind of the way to do them. As they are played by us, obviously, or at least somewhat controlled, even as a group of bad guys or things like that, it's still not technically an NPC, but because it's not the big guys, or you, the hero, or the villain, or the supervillain, whatever it might be, it's just what we call them, because we're uninspired and lazy, and coming up with other acronyms just gets more and more confusing, so we stick with what we know.
You're lazy.
Yes.
Don't be saying I'm lazy.
And
you speak for yourself, sir.
Here we go.
What? I can with the best of them. What?
I'm telling you, bro, they're running roughshod. They're gone to their heads.
This is what happens when you give them the vote. I'm just putting it out there. Give them the vote.
I wouldn't go that far, but hey, dang.
I would snap my fingers if I could. I don't. That's as good as it gets. It's actually rather pathetic. I have very moist fingers.
Moist? You have moist
fingers?
And
Pray tell, sir. Pray tell.
Moist.
Moist.
Oh,
So
wow.
NPCs, yeah.
NPCs, all right. So a lot of times when they get pulled out, you can play them in an individual scene or as kind of
wait.
group of blank-faced bad guys.
I know where she's going with that.
Pulling out.
Oh, no.
He said it, not me. He said when you pulled them out, I'm just like,
I thought you didn't pull out. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I don't.
So NPCs.
I told you I had my shot. I feel really good today.
Speaking of things that
Wow, somebody's getting red.
Shoot. All right, so yeah, you play them as an individual scene or a group of blank-faced bad guys. Typically, a lot of times they come out as a group of enemy NPCs because, let's be honest, using another guild of people to be the bad guys is always just a nightmare waiting to happen.
It is not to be done.
Yeah, it's
don't
just,
be tempted. Just don't do it.
Yeah. And at least you can kill these guys. You can't kill the other ones. You can't kill the player characters. So it's always fun when you have a group of NPCs.
Never
to
fails
make
because
things
they
go
roll
good.
something for you and they're like, I don't know, I'm kind of attached to him. I don't think I want him to die.
Well, see, and that's not playing an NPC like your guy last week. That's just being an asshole.
Yeah.
So they also make good filler in a story arc or an event scene. Think of it kind of like the difference between a game that only has a few people visible, like like the old games. You know, you're in this it's supposed to be this vast metropolitan city, and there's like two dudes and one cat walking around, and that's like that's your representation of New York, as opposed to kind of the modern games like Witcher 3 or the Assassin's Creed, where the NPCs are bustling around, and you know, it actually makes it feel like a lived-in, fleshed-out world or story. And using those NPCs for things like that in RP often is good. You know, I've seen what's the lizard leaks? Is that it? In Riften?
Yes, Leaks.
Yeah, he's an NPC.
Leaks when struck is his whole
Leaks
name.
when struck, yeah, which is terrible. Terrible name. Great, but terrible. But he's the NPC at the bar at the Riften in ESO, and nobody controls him, but everybody uses him in a lot of ways. You know, they're all like, "Hey, Leaks, how's it going? Keep the change. Thanks, you know, this is great." And, you know, they don't really ever give a response. It's just like a one-sided interaction with it, and everyone pretty much universally just goes along with it. I've never really seen anybody like, "No, you can't do that."
Every now and then you get somebody that feels that they have to roleplay that, like they're the boss of that NPC, or
right,
some super duper control over them, or like they're part of my vast spy network.
Right, or they're this is swill and splashes it in the face of Leaks.
Oh God, that
pisses.
See, like, there's my pet peeve right there. That bugs me.
Which goes into our later one of godmodded.
People who come into a tavern with an NPC and then they have to sit there and bitch about how terrible the service is, how terrible the alcohol is, or the drinks, or that they're watered down, or they're cheap.
When everyone else
just makes me insane.
And everyone else around them is like,
network thing. I'm always like, all right, Mr. Bond, what else you got up your sleeve?
Well, that's kind of RP rating right there.
Well, yeah, it is.
Yeah, they're basically just going in and playing with themselves. She's using this poor NPC as an excuse.
Yeah.
Well, they're also sometimes they use the NPC as a way to god mod information they already know. So either way, it's not okay. I've said before that, like, I had a character that worked in a bar, and she was the manager, not the owner, and waited at all the tables, and so she had a playful relationship with the guy that was the NPC. But what he did when she wasn't there, you know, she didn't pretend to know.
Right. Well, because you weren't there to know it.
Right. Yeah. So I couldn't really go that way. But it always made me insane when people would be like, "This booze sucks. How can you work here?" Well, I don't know what's wrong with your taste buds, but it tastes really good to me.
Well, and then everybody else, typically it's always it's an outlier. Doing it as a negative is typically the outlier. Most other people are like, "Oh, this place is great. The service is fantastic," and it's like those signs that you see every now and then on the internet. It's like, one of the worst tacos ever, according to one guy on Yelp. You know, and they actually put it on the front of the building.
That one guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I love those places because they actually put that on, like, the marquee sign in front of their restaurant. I mean, I'd go eat there because at least they're making fun. You know, they can take a joke and take one idiot. Yeah. Oops.
What's oops?
I hit a button on my keyboard somewhere, and apparently that is the mute Ashen button. I did not know that that's what that button did.
Learn something new every day.
Sign.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be talking.
G6 on my keyboard, which apparently
We're taking over.
It's assigned on my Logitech, and I don't know what that button's assigned to. I'll need to look into that, because that would be a convenient mute button.
It's just telling you.
I think Sibs is sabotaging you with that button, bro.
I think so. She's being mouthy tonight. What? Clearly, I need to shake her more.
Shake me more.
Shake?
I'm going to shake you like a British
that
nanny.
That bad places anyway.
Shake it off. Shake it off.
No Taylor Swift. Did I get it right? Was that the one?
You did. Very good. I'm impressed. You got that right.
I know that because I had to edit a video or a soundtrack together for my nephews. They were doing a talent show of different songs and music, and they gave me a list of songs they wanted me to edit together, and that was one of them. So I learned. That was the first time I'd heard that song. I was like, what is this? It was awful. Yeah. They did good, but it was awful. The music was terrible. Also had a little Michael Jackson in it. In retrospect, for a bunch of 8-year-old boys, probably not the best
not
idea.
the best
right.
choice,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, this was years ago.
We didn't know.
Well, we
even
technically,
then, guys,
we kind of... I mean, Corey Feldman was pretty fucked up after being with that guy. So, I mean, we kind of did know.
I mean, he defended him for a long time.
Yeah.
And I can't... You know what? The guy's dead. I can't judge him because I don't know the full situation.
No, it's true.
There's been a lot of money grabs on rich people. So,
yeah.
I think that he's too long, too dead, and to just let the matter lie.
Yeah, it's like he's a punching bag, a well-worn punching bag that they pull out when they need something to talk about. And it's a sad deal.
Yeah, it is sad.
All the way around, no matter what angle you're coming at it, I guess.
Really got to think of it. It's sad if you when you really stop to think about it. All of our icons growing up in the 80s and 90s are just demolished.
Hey, I still love Michael Jackson. I look at his music. I leave that crap to the side.
Cliff Huxtable.
I know, right? Dang.
Bill Cosby. It's like he was like your second father, and now
the pudding pops.
Oh man, you know what I would give?
There are eggs in the cake.
I would give Strafay to get a pudding pop again. I cannot find them. I've looked for them. I grew up with them. I loved those pudding pops, especially the ones.
Dang, I'm catching it all tonight. What? Give me up for a pudding pop, freaking $20.
Well, I mean, I was promised whiskey, and I have yet to see whiskey. So at this point, I'm getting my pudding pops.
Wait a minute. So exactly what would you give Strafay? I mean, I'm just curious. You said I would give Strafay.
He would give me away, is what he's saying.
Yeah, I would give him. I would give him to anybody for a pudding pop.
Hey, he didn't say to give me away. I'm surprised.
Oh, I like you. You do things and stuff around here. It's just like you went grocery shopping. That was awesome. That's useful.
Oh, dang. Oh, my goodness.
That's right. So, yeah. NPCs. Versatile. They can be strange, serious, over the top, much like the people on this show. It doesn't matter too much, as they won't be around long, and nobody really cares what happens to them at the end. That's kind of the great thing about the NPCs, is you bring them in, you use them, you throw them away. Kind of like tissue paper.
I care.
Or women at the high school from the next town over. Yeah.
Dang.
Oh, come on. I went to the graduation of 80 people, and 12 of them walked across the stage visibly pregnant.
That's rough.
Yeah. Coweta has a great reputation. Also one of the highest per capita birth rates of preteens.
Wow.
Stay strong, Oklahoma.
Somebody's got to, I guess.
Ouch!
We're number one. Oh, wait, what?
Oh, number one in what? Yeah.
Never mind.
That number one's going to be in a onesie soon. I'm just saying. Right?
Yeah.
We're number onesie.
No.
All right. So some of the bad things when you use NPCs in a situation of roleplay, this is the one that happens more often than not. Losing track of them, especially when you don't have like an actual representation of them in the world, and you're just using your your quote unquote imagination, which is how you typically have to do it. But keeping everybody on the same page, when you've got 5 or 6 guys all fighting against your group of 5 or 6 people, and it doesn't matter how well you actually do, you're always eventually going to have to go over to a spot and bounce up and down and say, they're right here. It's just...
You know what really helps, too? I mean, if you can't actually have physical people playing the NPCs, just to stand there, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to do it for me when I've had to have bunches of people is I make a quick sketch of the room we're going to be in, like blocks. I'm obviously not very good at this. Not like it looks like it, but an idea, and then I draw circles for each one.
Right.
Put numbers on the circles, and then as they're killed, X
amount. Yeah.
X, and they have their points above their heads, so I know, okay, that's 3, 2, 1. Okay, now they're X. 3, 2, 1, and they're X. Really help to keep track of them better. But yeah, in the world, people always lose track of where they are.
And even if you've got yours, that's good for you, but at the same time, somebody reads something like they reverse 2 words, and suddenly they're like, wait, I thought that guy was dead. No, that's the guy over here by the fireplace. Well, that guy over there by the stove, I thought he was okay. No, he's actually already down. He was thrown into the guy by the brick wall, but I thought he was out for a pudding pop.
That sounds like every D&D game I've ever been to.
You know, one of the fun parts about EQ2 that I miss was being able to make a dungeon of your own, and then you could just we put those
dummies, those
NPC
dummies, yeah,
NPCs standing in certain places,
and it was great.
And then we could just move them as they moved. Okay, now he's over here. Now he's over here. It was fantastic, but you don't have that in a lot of games. That's hard. Yeah. Where is he? We had that in ESO when we did that big thing with Foley. Keeping track of where everyone was in that room and keeping track of who was dead and who wasn't was a challenge.
It was a challenge. It was a challenge for me.
I've actually used NPCs before in crafting backstories. For instance, Ringott's EverQuest 1, his parents, his dad's name anyway, he's a walking NPC in Neriac Third Gate. The mother had us made up, but I had to have some link to the old world, and I was like, well, I'm using this dude. And you have
some random guard walking around in old school.
No, he's a noble in one of those. There's two big houses in Neriac Third Gate, and so I use those, and they're rivals, so I use those against each other, craft a story. And I think that's cool as long as you don't, claim you're the son of Luke and Delir. You know what I mean?
And in that too, I mean, you were in EverQuest 2 using an NPC from EverQuest 1 that's just 500 years gone. I'm pretty sure you're safe on that one. The chances of you running into another role player that says, "No, hither, that was my father," it's pretty slim.
He was pretty obscure. He kind of pathed around his little manor.
Yeah, just pathed around his manor. And on that same vein, what Indigo Jules has said here in the chat, that Jorah, their character, daughter, is an NPC. And NPCing, as much as I hate them, your children in game is also a large and mostly done thing. Very.
Yep. I have one in ESO right now that I have a toddler, and I'm not going to. I mean.
One, you can't create a toddler.
You can't create a toddler, but there are a lot of people who... Remember in EQ2 we could shrink our characters?
Oh, I
that was kind of cool because you could actually have the kid and just shrink it down.
And they were also super fucking creepy because that 8-year-old had a giant set of boobs or
I know,
or muscles that could crack a walnut between his forearm,
It's creepy.
Yeah.
Kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But it was nice because at least you could make...
Right.
Like a little kid NPC, and you can't do that in most games.
Yeah, and if you made him something like the Soga model of half-elves, or not half-elves, like halflings, they were actually somewhat cute, or gnomes. They were, they had that childish face. Yeah. Especially
halflings were believable little kids, especially if you shrunk them a little bit.
Yeah, like was it Fortuna? She always had a very childlike look to her.
Yeah. And kids can be NPCs easier. What bothers me is when people have a kid and the next week they're grown and they're walking around as a toon.
Oh, yeah. We covered that in the Instant Family.
Yeah, but I mean, you see a lot of people because they're like, well, what am I supposed to do with this kid? Oh, I don't know. Pretend.
Raise it.
Well,
use your rainbow imagination.
I mean, and if it's up to me, I'd grab it by the ankles and smash it against the nearest tree, but that's just me. Because I don't think I don't like roleplay kids, but maybe not everybody goes that route. I don't know. You all have your own likes and wants. Me personally,
I'm really not into. Every now and then it makes sense for the roleplay, but yeah, I'm as a rule, I'm anti. I have 4 of my own. Thanks. I don't really need to make any of them in make believe game.
And yet,
but I have one. Yes, I have one.
Now,
and it made sense.
You had a parcel of them before.
Well, yes, in other games. In EQ2 it was easier because you could just...
a litter, really.
Yeah, shit. I had a lot of kids. But that was over a 10-year period, which was technically 25 years in game. Or, let's see. It was 10 years, so 40 years in game. So...
Litter. A litter of small children.
There were a lot of kids. And adopted people. That was just... Vaca was obsessed, man, about adopting family members. So.
Yes. Vaca.
Dude, but, oh my goodness, was not even started.
Yeah, using NPCs as your baby children, that typically gets used a lot, and all the bad stuff that comes along with having NPC children, like
including bringing them to a tavern.
You're no longer interesting or fun to be around.
Basically, yeah.
And lastly, and you guys, I think most of you all remember this one, at least the specific I have about it, god modding them. I'm just going to pull this out randomly from my imagination, of course. I have an epic ×4 bodyguards with me at all times.
Oh! Yes, we remember that, don't we? That made me so mad.
Yeah, I'm the leader of Freeport's militia, and I have with me at all times 2 epic ×4 bodyguards that nobody can beat me with, and you can't touch me, can't get near me. I'm impossible.
I'm invincible.
Yeah,
you cannot do it.
But you have that in every role play game. I mean, we had that in Guild Wars 2. There was a lady was a councilman who claimed that she had 10 guards around her at all times.
Yeah, because that's not inconvenient in the bathroom stall.
Yeah, so we were just like, whatever.
Or it's a party. I don't know. I don't judge.
So.
At that point, they are the bathroom stall.
That's right.
Yeah, they are the bathroom stall. Just make a little circle. She can just squat.
Calm down, R. Kelly.
There you go.
Good stuff. Well done, Sarah. Well done.
Yeah. So that was like and making them strong. For a group fight, we've talked about the Watcher, and he was very powerful, very, very powerful. Yes. But he was NPC'd through the body of my character, but was not my character. And he was strong enough to take on a guild of, anywhere from 10 to 20 people. And the only reason we had to make him that strong was because a fight of 10 or 20 people versus one normal dude isn't really a fight. It's not a lot of fun, and it had to, And
don't forget, a lot of them were, monsters themselves.
Right. Yeah, so I had to come up with something bigger and badder than all of them that was also something that could be killed and defeated without me having to be like re-rolling or something like that. It was perfectly fine in that case to do that. But however, that was also for special guild events, specifically for our guild.
Yes.
Where we had utter and complete control. No random people were coming in out of nowhere. So, was it god modding? Yes, but it was approved god modding by the guild, and everybody loved it.
Yes. We all agreed that we wanted a bad guy that could give us an honest-to-God fight. And I backed it as well, 100%. And we knew that meant he was going to have to god mod a little bit, but we were cool with that. And the role play was so fantastic. Like, Rengott's lost all his legs. These are good things.
Well, yeah, because he was
spider form, right?
He started infecting other guildmates. Like, Rengott's got infected with whatever the Watcher threw on him. It was already kind of there, but he brought it out and made Ren into a freaking monster. He did that to a few other people. Mm-hmm. So he had more minions. So you had to beat down Rengott's. And then you had to beat down this guy. Then you could try to attack the Watcher.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Greiger that ripped his legs off?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, Greiger ripped some of them off.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That was awesome.
And that was...
Everybody's hating on me, man.
You were like our stand-in ultimate villain when it wasn't the Watcher. So, own it.
Yeah. You were next.
I know. Next. The irony.
So it was in that case, but there's a difference between doing that for a storyline, and doing that as you're walking around downtown, Ebonheart or whatever, or Freeport, as this case actually came from, and it's not fun. People typically they'll have their groupies that go along with that, as this person did, but at the same time, everyone else is just like. It can't take you seriously. For one, you're saying epic times 100 epic ×4 bodyguards, which is just like that's the ultimate level of the entire game.
That's worse than Nagafen, I was about to say.
Yeah. I mean, you can't even nobody can group guilds of people don't fight against things like that. It's almost impossible. So come on, you're being ridiculous. Yeah, no one takes you seriously. So but again, with NPCs, no matter what, someone is doing the thinking for them. So the way you handle them, if you're doing something with a whole bunch of them and you're not capable of doing it, share that responsibility. Some people create ones that kind of it's a guild mascot kind of a thing. Where what was that the Spectre Cartel. They had a dwarf that was kind of the guy that took care of the place, and everyone is similar to the tavern guy, where people just kind of used him. Yeah, you know, and the guild allowed it. That he was the one that would open and close portals for people.
It was a roleplay device. Totally.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was a roleplay device.
And I think since it was EQ2, he was a physical character in their guild hall too, which was nice and helpful.
And like we had one in our bar who was the bartender. What was her name? Navi. After the Navi fairy thing in
Zelda. Yep.
Zelda. Yeah.
Yes, that.
Navi. Navi was our bartender, and she could be, and everybody had permission. I said she's a snarky, mouthy bartender. Have fun.
Yeah.
and people did. She was always witchy at everybody. It was great.
And you didn't, but in of course, in that case too, it was the guild. You didn't, things you don't do. You don't abuse her. Because she's NPC. She's part of the guild. So you don't do this is swill splashes in face, you know.
We actually had somebody do that one time, and then it wasn't me.
Didn't they get their ass whooped?
It was Nex. Nex RP'd out that he was Navi, you know, making it her voice. And she hit him with a lightning bolt. It was fantastic. Yeah. And he was like, she can't do that. There's no fighting in the bar. And Nex was like, she was like, you need to go read those rules again. It says you aren't allowed to fight in the bar. I, however, am perfectly allowed.
Yeah. I run the bar. I can do what I want. It's my hot body. I'll do what I want.
That's right. And he had sent me a text on my phone because I was elsewhere. He was like, okay, so this thing just happened, and this guy just threw a bunch of ale in Navi's face. Permission to roleplay Navi. By all means, have fun.
Yeah. Make it so, number one.
Make it so.
But so, all right. I don't know if someone highlighted that, then they didn't, and it totally threw me off. NPCs can fill a spot if you are lacking role players.
Merc number 1.
Yeah.
Merc number 2.
Yeah, and this kind of goes into, like, it really is what we said earlier, like getting two groups of people together, like trying to have another guild play your villains or something like that.
No, don't do it.
It's always so spotty, and really, if you're not
unless
really
you know
good,
them really, really well,
right,
don't do it.
Yeah, I was going to get at, if you're not one-on-one and you guys aren't, basically if they aren't like a sister guild that you already almost do everything with anyway, just use the NPC.
Herding cats, don't do it.
Yeah. The egos get involved, feelings get hurt.
Someone says my feelers, someone says my immersion, and it's all over by the crimes.
My immersion!
That's right.
You also can use them as the villain or as an extra. I would say hero, but let's be honest here that typically you're the one being the hero as the role player, and unless of course you're also a lot of role players, in which case you're technically the villain that thinks they're the hero. But you get the point.
Well, like in Silver Circle, we were technically bad people.
Yeah. Well,
so every now and then, one of the officers would roll a temp throwaway tune as an NPC, basically, to come in as a dun-dun-dun, I am a paladin to smite the evil, and would come in. Yeah, it was always fun. It just kept everybody on their toes, and it was fun.
Yeah, and that
guy would show up at Rengots is like, I'm going to the Underfoot. Y'all have fun with that.
Yeah. Yep. Don't let them touch you. You don't know where those hands have been.
That's right.
Probably holy water.
Or up, what's her name's twat. Yeah.
Dang.
Sorry. Baka said that one time, by the way, to a paladin. He was like, these hands are blessed. She was like, from what? Touching, what was her name? Tanar. What? You had your hand up Tanar's butt?
How funny.
Yeah, Vodka was awful.
Yeah, well, to be fair, too, though, the majority of people that played paladins...
they were easy to pick on.
They weren't exactly what you would call holy knights.
No. Most people that played paladins were dark paladins. Every now and then we'd get somebody that played a true paladin. But they always felt that they should be able to win automatically. That was always annoying.
It's kind of like people that play Jedi. Are you really
Yeah, they're playing.
They're playing dark Jedis. Almost everyone that I knew in Tor that was a Jedi was a gray Jedi. Almost nobody roleplay except for I think Stray. You had one that wasn't God's honest, true.
It scared the mess out of Kiki.
Yeah, totally scared the crap out of her because she was like.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You were right.
The lady killed his master, and so he's a Miraluka, so he used scraps of his master's robe to make his ceremonial mask. And he ran across her, and she's like, "Don't you want to kill me?" It's like, "No."
Revenge is not the Jedi way.
I think you were lied to. In fact, I think you should let go of some of your anger. We'll talk about it. She got this wide look and freaking ran for the door.
She did, too, and she just turned and ran. It was hilarious.
I would be a lot more comfortable if you just tried to kill me right now, let's be honest.
Yeah.
That's what she said. She's like,
that's what she said, exactly. I would really prefer it if you would just try to kill me, because then I can fight you. Yeah.
There is no anger, there's only peace. And she fled like her tail was on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, and that's...
Good times.
Speaking of Tor, though, that's actually a good subject to talk about, too. How do you NPC the companions that the game gave you?
I never did.
Yeah, I got that here at the bottom, actually. Specifically.
Oh, okay.
See right there. Oh, wait, you don't have it up. That's right, never mind. But yeah, we got that. We'll get that. Because that is...
I almost never roleplay any part of the game within my roleplay.
It's just...
Other than the basic lore, that's it.
It's typically just a giant... It's a whole... we'll get down to that unwind.
Because if everybody has the same companion and they all use the same stupid names, and everybody has a John Blow companion, it makes no damn sense. It's stupid. It's the same as being a hero. Of course you're the hero. So is he, so is he, so is he, so is he. Yeah.
But Jazz.
Oh, God.
Christopher Watkins into the building.
I'm the chosen one.
Stab, 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 stab.
Many have come before me, but I am the one who came later.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You're chosen to wear the poop robe.
The what?
What?
What? The what? The boob? All I heard was the boob robe.
No, I said you were chosen to wear the poop robe.
Oh, the poop robe.
All Jedi robes are brown, so there you got the poop robe.
Hey, some of them are dark brown. They need more fiber in their diet. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it also doubles as toilet paper. Most people don't know that about the Jedi Order.
Anakin's robe, man. He has some.
Oh well, yeah, that was the
blood
emo
stains
robe.
and all kinds of crazy crap in that dark color.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's just he would drip Joe meat sandwiches all over the front of that, and there was no getting those stains out. But luckily, it was dark, so you never saw them.
It was just Darth issues. You know, we know.
I have to say
Joe
that
meat.
One of my regrets from my earlier role playing when I was running Silver Circle in the beginning was if somebody came to apply to join the guild and they were RPing the story. It was IC, but we pretty hammered them pretty hard, and I feel bad about that now. We should have been nicer, but it was just.
Well, and at least the story for EverQuest 2, it wasn't a chosen one, sort of. It wasn't like an MSQ. It was just literally a bunch of random ass stories, at least at the beginning, before they got to the more specific ones.
You were just another refugee that got plucked out of the ocean.
Yeah, see, and that's a much better way. Like I think.
Well, in Guild Wars 1, but in 2, you are called the chosen one.
Oh, I was talking about EverQuest. Yeah, Guild Wars. I get you. Yeah.
Well, even EverQuest 1, they just gave you a note and said, "Oh, hey, you're applying to this school.
Yeah,
go turn your note in."
See, and that makes more sense. Be someone that is
World of Warcraft
of a group of people that's unusual. I'm fine with that, but you are the only one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, God.
Yeah, that's what's great about
try to roleplay it.
Things like EverQuest, EverQuest 2, World of Warcraft is another thing. All these, you've got all the big important people in the story. You're just kind of a cog in the machine that's there as all this other shit's going on. You're not the one that everything relies on. Like Final Fantasy XIV, they're as bad as ESO is about you being the vestige and all that. 14, man, you're literally the chosen one. Like the story,
you are literally Final Fantasy Jesus.
Yes, you are. And the story can't go anywhere. Like I think as soon as you disappear off this, once you leave an area, time freezes, and until you come back, nothing happens. Nothing moves.
Oh man.
And it's really, really bad about that. And it really jacks up a lot of role players because they just I don't know, they just can't seem to get past that. Instead of just using that as the basis of maybe there's a chosen one out there or something like that, or this is the story of Advance, even if you don't believe in a chosen one. So many of them play like, I was there at the Battle of Tanagra when the walls fell.
When the walls fell!
There are people who would come in and say, I slayed the head vampire guy that I can't think of the name of right now.
Miss
Mayong.
Miss Mayong.
I slayed Mayong.
Mayonnaise
Yeah, no,
Miss Moore, yeah.
Mayonnaise Miss Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Mayonnaise Miss Moore.
Mayonnaise Miss Moore, yeah, for sure.
I can't be the only one that's thought that. Mayong,
no,
Miss Moore,
Mayong,
Miss
Mayo,
Moore.
yeah.
Right.
Mayo,
okay.
Miss Moore. More than one person has said
yeah.
that. So.
But it's just so dumb. So dumb. But all right. So anyway, let's see. Where were we at? When doing big event, they can't get lost in the crowd. You say you have a cool story idea, and the NPC is going to start shouting things or causing a fight, and your character is going to shoot them down. Instead, someone beats you to it, or they just flat out get ignored. They are an NPC. It happens. So,
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, if that stuff happens to an NPC, it's okay. That's the reason you use them in a good story. Is if it goes one way, they may survive. If it goes, the players choose another way, they may die. You can sometimes manipulate the crowd by using the NPC, by saying things. Obviously, your character would be smart enough not to. Like, is that is that your face, or did your neck blow a bubble? Dad jokes.
No kidding.
Yeah, well,
that was a very daddish joke.
That was very. I don't remember where I heard that from, but it's old. I heard that a lot.
Sounds like the insurance salesman from Groundhog's Day.
It does.
Am I right? All right. Yeah. All right.
Ned Harrison.
Ned Harrison. Ned the Nose.
Phil Collins. Is that you?
Yeah.
I don't think his name was Phil Collins, but still.
Don't drive angry. Don't drive angry.
That's you love that line.
I do.
You never want to give an NPC a role that a real life player can do. This is also true. Yeah. Sometimes, given the big bad villain, if you actually want it to be able to be killed, probably that's a good one to NPC. Like Strafei, your bad guy in pronounce it for me. I always want to say Jael.
Jail. No, Jail's right.
Jail. Okay. Well, apparently I want to pronounce it correctly. Fuck
you
me.
It correctly.
But with that, like you have really you have a way. I'm sure you hope it goes, but also at the same time, you've rolled it up, and what will happen will happen.
Yep.
You know that going in.
Depending on roles and what players do, and then we'll have to alternate, and you can go with role play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't script it, or else it's going to be boring.
Yeah, and if you go in knowing in advance that they're going to survive no matter what the other people do, especially for a big story arc, it can be kind of boring.
I got a plan for if they go one way, and have another plan if they go another way.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a wild card option if players do something completely different.
And now for
that's how D&D stuff too. I mean, the players love that crap.
Yeah.
They feel like they got control.
Well, it's the illusion of choice. I mean, yes, are they still choosing? Yeah, but it's kind of like when you choose from in Mass Effect. You got 3 choices. It's all scripted, but it's still a choice. It's a limited choice, but you're still making a choice.
That's how I do it. And then just like Mass Effect, good comparison.
Yeah, and unlike Mass Effect, when it gets to the end, hopefully your choices will still have mattered.
Yeah, that's true.
Instead of 2 binary endings, one of which just has red and one of them has green.
That was green, red, and blue.
Was it green, red, and blue? No,
I did the green one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got the green one too.
That was the only way to. Anyway, we'll not go there.
Yeah, no, let's not. Andromeda.
I mean, I couldn't. Yeah, I haven't even played Andromeda. I couldn't rescue Legion. Edie saved your bones. And I decided to save the Geth. I couldn't just be like, oh, by the way, I saved you now. I'm going to exterminate you now. So it's tough luck. Like, that's such a douche move. I was like, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, Indigo Jules. Genocide, or genocide.
pretty much.
I'm going to go with genocide. That's pretty much your option at the end. So, all right, where was I at on this thing? Okay.
NPCs.
Yep. If you use them and you want to make sure that you prepare dialogue for them, at least have an idea. It may be an NPC, but it still has to be a believable character. You can't go in there and be like, I'm on how I mine for fish. It doesn't work. So even if you don't give it as much background as your actual character, which clearly you probably shouldn't, but at least come up with a few nuances, like an attitude, maybe a voice type for their speech, mannerisms. And you can come up with that shit on the fly, or you should be able to. And it breathes a little life. I remember one thing I did. I think it was Guild Wars 2, actually. Was it Guild Wars 2? Yeah, we'll say it was Guild Wars 2. Why not? It was Guild Wars 2 or Aeon.
Guild Wars 2.
If it wasn't, it was Aeon. One of those really pretty games to look at that get bored really fast. But a group that I was with, they wanted to roleplay somebody, like letting them into the council chambers and something. I was like, hold on, I got this, So I jumped up there and said, this is my character, and I took on the role real quick using my character's body of the snotty little guy, and they were like, that was fantastic. That was really neat. You should do that more often. I'm like, yeah, well, that's sad that guy was more interesting than my character, but yeah, we'll go with it. So just little things like that every now and then. It's perfectly okay as long as you tell people in advance to use your own character. But, he was real snooty and proper, and of course he did not believe that they had the right to see the Lord, but, well, the Lord demanded it of him, and as the manservant, he had to grudgingly let them in, that kind of a thing. So,
and if you go through all the trouble to set up dialogue and, insert an NPC into your roleplay, even if somebody comes up and offers to play that role, it's still better to have an actual body than an NPC, I think, at least for me.
It does add more to it, yeah.
It does. It creates a more complex story by having other things in the storyline.
My immersion!
Yeah,
That's right.
So even if you have to go, give up all that work you did, it's still, put it aside and save it for another time.
Yeah, reuse it.
When you don't have somebody willing to step up and take that role. The only time I've ever had to tell somebody, no, I can't do that, is when they came to me right when the story, we were already halfway through the story.
Right, yeah.
And I had to say, I'm sorry, I can't have you do that because we're already halfway through the story.
Yeah.
Any other time I would have been like, sure, yeah, hop on in here. And the person was, they were fine with it. They're like, well, next time maybe. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and they had missed the first half, I think, if I remember that. So they didn't even know what you had said as the character before.
Yeah.
You're partway through already. You don't have time to catch, you're in the middle of running an event. It's not really a good time to be like, hey, by the way, you want me to do that there for you?
Yeah. And like I said, they were understanding.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't upset or anything. They just said, well, next time. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'd love to next time to actually have a bad guy body.
Yeah, somebody,
a real person
NPCing it for you. So
yeah.
Okay, well, they aren't going to argue if something is unfair. This is the plus sides of NPCs, or you playing as the NPC. Typically, I'm going to say typically, they aren't going to argue if something is unfair, because then you find the outliers like Jazz's Fighter 1. I want to keep him.
Yeah.
Or that wouldn't be happen because of, or have an attitude about what they roll, or what role they do play because they're, disposable and they don't have hundreds or thousands of hours of work into them typically. So I need to look that up when one of you guys is talking next. EverQuest 2 had 20-year anniversary last week when we were doing this. They released an infographic.
Oh, yeah?
I need to look that up because that was a fascinating look at like the number. I think they put in the highest like amount of all the things, quests done and things like that. Let's see. EverQuest 20-year infographic. Just stop right in the middle of the show. Sure, why not? So while I'm looking that up. Yeah, so that's just one of the better parts of doing that is you don't have all the time in it. People typically aren't going to argue with you about stuff if things go bad or wrong. So now going on to the part where Yunfei had come up with. Most, if not all, games have NPCs. That part is true. Some of them, like SWTOR, have NPCs that work really well in different roleplay events and are companions that kind of stick around with you regardless if you want them or not. I was
like
not
a
fan.
bad itch.
Mm-hmm. I was not a fan. There it is. Thank you, Jazz. We'll go over that at the end. That way, I found it fascinating. I love those things. So, like with SWTOR, you can use them. You know, like I think we used like the bodies of them in certain situations and things, but they weren't actually the character they were in the MSQ. We used them as more like wordly random NPC holders and things like that. So one of the problems, let's see, one problem with the NPCs, like the companion NPCs like that, is kind of they're always around, and if you use the character as is provided by the game and the story, multiple people have that same exact character as you, and they overlap, and it kind of destroys the immersion, really, when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm forgetting their names now, but all those
I don't remember their names.
Yeah.
Corso.
Corso, yeah.
Was there one named Vet?
Yeah, Vet was one. That was the Twi'lek.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I usually, if I was going to use, because it makes sense that a ship is going to have other people on it besides you. You
Right.
can't run the thing by yourself. But they didn't have the same names as my companions, and I didn't use any of the quest information that I in interacting with them, just that they existed, more or less. Like the robot that greets you when you come on.
Yeah, the butler one.
Yeah, the butler guy.
Yeah.
Always repeat him as being there because it made sense.
Right, and you could you could make him as another character, or another attitude if you really wanted.
That was one good thing about Tor, is they gave you options to make them look a little different,
Yeah,
there were
true.
different
You could
clothing
change
options.
their color.
Yeah.
So that was
We're
a
stuck
good
with
thing.
their name, but you could always mentally just say they were called something else.
Well, I had Chemval with me. Tuna. I had Chemval with me most of the time, and I think, like in roleplay, I would just call him like Fluffy or something like that.
That big jagged mouth of teeth. Come here, Fluffy.
Yep. He was fun. I liked that NPC.
He was a good NPC, actually. Can we just tear their arms off and shove it up their butts? No, not right now. You can do it later.
Yeah.
Good.
Sounds like good old HK-47.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Meatbag. Query.
Does it bother you, the sloshing in your meat suit? No, HK, it really doesn't. Pity. Response.
Such a great character.
Jaded response. I love that NPC, man.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's one of the reasons I love those one big guys in Mass Effect was they had that same, because they had no intonation in their tone, so they would always have to tell you, suddenly surprised. I am shocked that this would come about in such a way. Jubilant, So yeah. Using as a companion as a spot holder is one thing, but just like playing yourself as the same person in the MSQ as the chosen one, everyone in the game has that same experience, same character. So if you are going to use them, just like Yunfei was saying, don't use them as written by the developers. You can use the body, but come up with something different personality, different this or that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it muddies everything, and everybody's doing the exact same thing. It's the exact same parallel problem as playing the chosen one in the MSQ. You're not being real original for one, and boring. It's really kind of just boring. Come up with something original. Don't play that stuff. Another kind of NPC too. that goes along with companions that's similar is, since apparently this is very popular in every MMO now, much to the love and joy of Jazz, pets. NPC
I hate pets. I hate them.
Oh,
I hate them.
I roleplayed someone in EQ1 that he roleplayed he was a Shadow Knight. He roleplayed with his skeleton. He named him Slim.
That's hilarious.
Like,
I don't mind.
Well, at least that one
sorry,
was.
go ahead.
That one's actually a companion, wasn't it? Or with the Shadow Knights, wasn't that a guy?
Yeah, the Shadow Knights used to have a
was your pet class.
Skeleton kind of pet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they were a pet class at first.
Yeah, they had those, but I also mean there's like the wow, Spanky, really?
The non-combat pets.
Yeah, the fluff pets.
Oh.
The you know, like the little, like you could have a dog or a cat or a, I don't know.
Which makes total sense when you're out in the world killing things, to have a little fluffy thing walking around going, hi, what's your name? I'm Poodles. Are you mad?
or you're like, or you're playing a paladin and there's an imp following you around.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Or there was the mechanical snake in ESO. The weird armadillo thing is another one. They've got a lot of pets in ESO. Apparently, it's a very
and they have the same
grab.
problem as they do in every game.
They just take up space and lag everybody out.
They take up space. They lag people out who don't have great, connections.
Yeah.
And they stand in the worst possible place at all times.
Oh my god, they do.
What's that?
The
in
tracking
your butthole,
and mapping
I'll
of
stand
these
right
damn
here.
things, I wish they'd fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Every game has it.
Yeah, because
you're trying to turn in a quest and friggin' fat ass Jabantic is standing on the NPC.
Yes, or they've got their stupid pet right there, and you can't even in ESO. The target box is so big that then you can't target the NPC because this asshat has to have his giant whatever the hell it is sitting right there, giant bear going. You can't even talk to the banker. Oh, just
yep.
Talking about big giant pets, it wasn't an NPC per se, but in EQ1, I used to run an ogre warrior over, kill lots of crushbone orcs, get good faction with the Hiles, and then sit right there in the entrance to Kelthan, or Felwith, and nobody could get past me.
Yeah, because they actually had hit detection boxes in that game.
Yeah, and it was great. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but that was trollery. That wasn't NPC work.
No, that was... Yeah, nowadays I think some places still have that hit detection, but if you push them hard enough, you'll scooch them out of their way so they can't do that. And in EQ1, it was a block wall. It was just a big wall of ogre.
which made raids hilarious.
Yeah.
You had to sneak along a wall.
So
and the people that would block the zone and train everybody sitting there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Train the zone. Those were the days.
You ever had to run and then some ogre stopped? Hey, I gotta check my phone, and then everybody's dead because the guy stopped moving. Yep, I remember those days well.
So the fluff pets and things like that, using them, it's a hodgepodge. I've seen a few people do it actually rather well. I seen it makes certain classes like druids. It makes sense when the druid uses their wolf if they have a wolf companion and they're using.
But there's no reason why they can't just RP that it's there and get rid of the stupid thing so it's not sitting in the middle of the table when I'm trying to have a conversation.
No,
you didn't hate on that freaking mud crab at Trajan's.
The mud crabs.
You were actually really good with that stupid thing. It actually didn't usually end up in an obnoxious place. Well, but it takes some work.
Just like with the wolves, if you some of them, if you do it enough, you can actually get a feel for the mechanics. Like they'll always be over your left or right shoulder. So if it moves to another one, you just shift a certain way, and some people, some games, game depending, obviously, you were able to control that to a point, or if it was a pet class in like EverQuests and stuff, you could actually do the stay command.
Commands,
and you got them where you wanted. You hit stay, and they would stay there.
Yeah,
it's like anything else. If you know what you're doing with it, you can make it fun and interesting. But you can. It's also can be abused and used horribly.
Yeah. So
there was what was the name of that chick? I'm trying to think of what her name was. She RP'd that her wolf was actually like her brother. in wolf form, and he was stuck in wolf form. And so she would come into the guild hall, and we had,
Lady
as
Hawk
you
there at
remember,
all.
in Silver Circle, we had a strict no pets in the guild hall because I'm obsessed about it.
Yeah, because you hated pets.
I'm a teensy bit. I can't stand this.
She's a hater. Okay,
I'm a hater. And so people were not allowed to bring their pets into the guild hall. The physical pets.
Right.
I said, if you want to role play your pet being near you, totally cool with that, except not in the like where we eat, because Vodka would lose her shit. But as long as it was sensible, I didn't have a problem with it. But this chick left our guild because she couldn't have her pet in the tavern with her at all times.
She couldn't
I
have
know
her pet.
exactly who you're talking about.
Oh, really? Yeah, this person drove me crazy. And she left our guild over it, and she came back after about, I don't know, 6 weeks. And after that, she would just roleplay that it was beside her. I guess somebody must talk to her. Because she came back and apologized to me and said, I should have, you were very, when you join the guild, Celie, we tell you, no pets in the guild hall. Because, and for those people that think I'm being horrible,
right?
I can't explain
Don't worry,
it.
guys. She is being horrible.
I am not being horrible. The thing is that when
they clutter up the place and they lag everybody, and like you said, they stand in the worst possible spots.
But it's also because it's worse with those Twilight things that flap. But pets flicker, and nobody believes me, I don't think, but they flicker. And so when especially if I have a headache, I can't look at the screen when those damn things are there. I had the same problem with people that had to have those annoying balls floating all over them when they were in role-playing, and I would have to send them, it's like, please, for the love of God, will you please cancel that so I can actually look at the characters while I'm role-playing? Because I'd have to turn my screen all the way down so it wouldn't see it. I learned later that that's all part of the seizure disorder, but I didn't know that at the time. All I knew was that pets flicker, and they do in every game. I don't care what game it is, they flicker, and I can't stand it. And I think that's what the visceral reaction to them is.
This rant brought to you by Jazzy.
I hate them. Okay,
all your non-combat pets and combat pets.
I'm okay now. I'm okay. Okay.
I think of an example done well if you're using the non-combat stuff. Voley and Trath had a bet, and I forget what the bet was about. I think it was recognition and hiding out. And if she won, she got to keep his bobcat that followed him around. And the other one, I forget what the other one was, but she ended up winning. And so I could no longer use that pet, and now she has it. So it just becomes a story element. It's not the main deal; it's just a little add-on thing.
Right, a little side thing.
That's the only way you should use them.
And we've RP'd that little element. You know, just when it was just me and him RPing, we've gone into that bobcat. You know, just doing little silly things with it, talking about it, or like, oh.
Yeah, it decided it liked living at Bully's house. She smelled better. She had a better food regimen. So every time Trath came over, he just looked at Trath like, I ain't going to suck on you. It was funny. It's just a comedic element at that point.
Rufus the Younger.
But if you're like turning them into your brother's, nephew's, cousin's, uncle's, aunt, come on, man. I mean, we've all seen Lady Hawk. You ain't Lady Hawk. Do something original. I'm just saying. Otherwise, Jazz is going to flip out because she's going to seizure and she's going to kill your non-combat pet.
Well, I don't like that. So I think I'm justified a little bit.
You are. I was just teasing with you.
Like hearing this now, and I played a Defiler for a long time back in EQ2, and I role-played with the wolf. I mean, she had a name, actually inspired by someone in Xanus' story. Her name, I named her Starfall. But yeah, she was almost a character by herself, but I never brought her into guild halls or houses or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or if I did, I would say, sit and just have her park at the door.
Behave!
Yay!
Yeah, it turns out
I didn't realize that was like good pet etiquette, but now that I think about it.
Yes, it was. We love you very much.
Right.
One more reason I adore you. There you go.
That's when you do them correctly, they can be done really well.
And when you don't,
it's true.
God have
they're
mercy
flaming
on your soul.
Ball of glowy, seizure-inducing crazy.
Something like that, like role-playing a pet or a companion, it's really 100% hit or miss. There's really no in-between.
There ain't no middle ground.
Yeah,
She's right.
and it can't.
Yeah, I agree.
And be open if you get a complaint. Given you always have to look where the complaint's coming from. Some people are just assholes that complain about everything because it causes a seizure. So if they give you advice,
I would punch him if I could, Jess. But he's
Thank you. I'm thinking evil thoughts at you, Ashen.
how is that different from your other thoughts of me?
I was about to say.
I mean,
I'd throw my easy cheese at him, but he would probably eat it, and then I wouldn't have no more. So no, I can't throw that at him.
I'd eat that.
That's fair.
But
oh my god,
what was that?
Was that
like
thunder? That was thunder.
Yeah.
You all right?
Again.
I'm okay.
What was
that?
That was we've got thunderstorms rolling in, and she's farther west than we are, so it hits her before it hits us. It sounds like we should probably.
Or that thunder is signaling an imbalance in the shame bell. I'm just saying.
It could be.
Just then.
It just started like in a split second. Now it's pissing down rain and thundering and lightning.
Welcome
It's
to
scared the crap out of me.
That's right. All right. Oh yeah, it's a tiny little micro one too. But,
I hear it. I just heard it.
Yeah. So all right. So last thing here that the NPCs can be used for, though this one is a lot more rare, is having a grand army of the Republic, or the Dunmer, or whatever. Using them to fight a giant war of NPCs is another thing that's done. Kishmis, one of the former hosts on here, he actually did this very well. Did a really good job with it. He had two opposing armies, one of Dunmer, obviously, and one of, I don't remember, someone non-Dunmer. I'm going to just assume. And the way he did it is, we had the two opposing armies. They were clearly both really an army of NPCs. They were laid out in a valley, quote-unquote, a valley before us, and the choices we made as the players, as the commanders of our group and platoon, along with the roll, decided how many people our platoon lost versus the enemy platoon. So bad rolls, we would lose more. Good rolls, the enemy would lose more. And it was basically still basically just a one-on-one combat, only it was multiples of NPCs. And instead of having, 3-4 hit rule and you're down, it was you have 100 soldiers, they have 100 soldiers. Whoever has more at the end is going to win that battle, kind of a thing. And it was a really interesting and cool way to do that. So, when you ran out of soldiers, that was the end of that. And eventually, as all happens, being the commander of it, while it was interesting, it was really cool at first, you still have to, eventually the war and the fighting got to you. And so the story then devolved into the more traditional combat NPCs of us versus NPC soldiers. What kind of the difference of this was, instead of it being one-on-one like you do, it was, we're commanders, we're, this and that, and then it's just an army of grunts and basic soldiers. So instead of us being one-on-one, maybe we took on a small group of them. So when we won the combat role, we would be able to hack and slash through 5 or 6 people, as opposed to them just getting one hit on you, kind of a thing. And it was really a neat way to utilize a lot of NPCs. It was literally thousands of them, if you think about it. But at the same time, it was controllable, and it told, the way he told it, it told the story of the fight as it was happening. The flanking, Kishmis was real big into.
Wow,
that was another Thunder Boomer, dang.
Yeah, but so he was really good about telling the story. He knew a lot about combat and flanking maneuvers. He was always big on military history, so he was really good at telling that. So if you know that kind of stuff, it is possible, and it actually can be fun. And it was all controlled. He basically was just a DM explaining what was going on and taking the commands of the people there and taking our roles into consideration. So it worked out real well. And of course, he had the story planned out beforehand, but at the same time, the reason he did this is what we've gone back to several times now, is because fighting in another guild or against another guild is awful and always ends in tears. So we did it this way. And
That sounds really cool.
is that? The rain out there?
No.
Oh, the battle.
No,
It's like, yeah.
the fight.
It was really cool. It was a lot
Yeah.
of fun. He did an excellent job. He really did. And and understand it won't work for every guild. Like if you're guild of shadowy assassins that only work alone, probably not going to be commanding a group of army, of soldiers and things like that. It's typically doesn't happen. But it can. How many times do you see in stories and books where the underdog, you're kind of the underdog and this and that, ends up being somehow in command of an army or a platoon of people because they're in the right place at the right time and they have the knowledge that the good guys need to go against the bad guys or this or that. It really can be done. You just have to be creative and write it in correctly. Tell him, Jazz's dog.
Yeah, that's another thing I think that's like very hit or miss. There's really no gray.
Yeah, it really comes down to with things like that. It comes down to planning. Good plan. Almost all role play really. It just have a good idea, and then more importantly, flesh that idea out. Just because you have a thought doesn't mean it's a great idea. Having the thought and then continuing with it and going through the ins and outs and weaving around
Jiminy Christmas.
That's the way you do it.
Yeah.
How's that dog, Jazz?
Plan it out. Have a script. And not something you have to have set in stone, but something
an outline.
You can kind of go off of. If something happens, you've got something to look at and go to.
Yeah,
I know, especially for me, because I don't do a lot of events. I'm not a huge event planner. And when I do, I try to make sure I have everything kind of flushed out. I know kind of where we want to go, what we want to do, and then I kind of go from there.
That last one was real good, though, with the orcs and stuff.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah. But I was so nervous and so, it's just not my cup of tea to do that kind of stuff. So I always, run things by Ashen and how does that sound? How'd that sound? How'd that work out?
Yeah, well, and that's definitely if you're not sure, ask someone you trust. Ask your guild leader. Ask your police officer. Ask your teacher.
Find your safe place.
So, all right. Well, it looks like before we head out, we got caller on the line. So let's go ahead and go over to Ericus. How's it going, Ericus? Thanks for calling RPMMORadio.
Good evening.
Our favorite Canadian.
He's mine. He's my favorite Canadian.
I still got I don't know about that guy.
And the same way I feel about Ashton when it comes to... Anyways, I called because... No, we're all friends. But, yes, I have a question. I am playing a role-playing event there in a way through... kind of the way through D&D. Everything's done on... Well, kind of like what Jazz did with their Discord channel there with that one event she had. And a lot of people come over, read what was written on the... Discord there to follow whatever steps. So, okay, I could try it one day with my roleplay event, which is coming up pretty soon there. I just got to put everything together. Mm-hmm. So, I am using a lot of NPCs in this case there. For my question is, how much of a background information I should give to these NPCs? For one example, just to help clarify, I sent one of these players, all right, scout... over here, stand next to these two doors. One of them, two guys are guarding one of these doors. Stay there, wait for my signal to get the attack and kill them, so we'll make our way inside and stuff. So while this guy is sitting around, this player I sent, and I could be like, all right, I'm typing these conversation these two guys are having, and pretty much tell him, oh, hey, I just got a child back in Ebonheart waiting for me. Hey, that's great. Hey, it's great to hear. But,
pull at the
heartstrings.
So,
yeah.
NPCs usually want to be pretty basic, but I mean, if you feel that it lends to the story, then that's fine.
Well, kind of like as like if these players like their characters some kind of like second thoughts. These they have like these people, like these NPCs, they have like lives too. These people I'm getting like ordered to kill soon. Like, should I give them incentive? Should I follow orders, or should I find another way to give them player more choices instead of just right out killing them?
Yeah, well, and it works out because even if they then do, I mean, more than likely. It's still an NPC, so they are probably going to just flat out kill them. But at the same time, it might give that player something to bounce off of later. Like maybe they'll have a moral dilemma because yes, it was combat, but that's where PTSD comes in real life soldiers. They're killing real people that they then think of have real families, and understand it's kill or be killed, sure. But at the same time, you're killing another living human being that has all these relatives. So if you make a point of that, it might make them less of an NPC and at least give them a little bit more of a third dimension, really, instead of just a two-dimensional meat bag to stab your sword through.
Meat bag.
So no, I would, little things like that, and I've done that with NPCs where, like when mostly I do it at times because the people that are making the real players are actually they're like doing hand gestures or they're talking to each other, making strategy. So I've done it. One of them, there were two or three of them at the end of a hall, and the good guys supposedly were trying to figure out how to get to them. So while they were chatting away, trying to figure this out, and whispering clearly, I had the two guys talking. They were talking about how they had lost a gambling match, or they were. One of them, they were betting, like I'll bet you 2 gold that you can't spit from here to that, that tub over there, just little things like that to give them a little bit more of a realistic outlook, and also I was kind of filling the time while they were sitting there yakking, and I really didn't have anything to do. But there's definitely if there's time and the story lends itself to your NPCs being more than just little things. I've even had some of them. Like, give a monologue. So you get to one of the boss guys, like, hey, they'll shout down the hallway like intruders. So that way it's a nice cue to the players that, oh shit, we've been caught and we only have these guys now, but more than likely more people are going to show up right behind them.
Right.
About to go south quick.
Yeah, exactly.
And so kind of like a heat in the moment, gotta make a decision there, life or death, or like, even though, all right, I'm sorry, I have to do this just because, but
yeah, and then if they do back out because you're like, oh, I can't wait, it's my, it's my little girl's 2nd birthday tomorrow, and they, they punk out, and then of course the guy's gonna get up and be like, intruders, and you lost the element of surprise, and they may take a, stab to the shoulder it's a learning moment at that point. I don't care about their little two-year-old daughter. You're gonna die.
Oh yeah,
an example of that, Eric, is so when we did the whole Volley story, I actually had it in work that I wanted to bring into roleplay.
Yeah. So
he was a cousin of the goons that nabbed Volley. Well, he was the guy y'all captured and cut a finger off and tortured mercilessly. He's like, hey, look, I just owed this guy a favor. He said, come and help us do this, and all debts are settled. So I was just here for that. I didn't know. I don't know this lady. I don't know you guys. Nothing personal. I was just doing this. So they dumped him over to Sully's, compound, and then Sully pretty much made him a servant. So now you're going to work off your debt with me. And he's like, man, I'm always in debt. So that's one way to take an NPC and turn it into a playable character.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to lose them,
right?
Even if they were going to kill him, I was okay with them killing him. I was like, well, if this is how it goes, this is how it goes. So.
And that was decided pretty much on the fly because he's like, I don't want this character to die, and I'm like, okay, we got to figure out how we don't want this character to die.
If he dies, he dies.
And
but if he doesn't,
it
cool.
worked out. So
yeah. Oh, that's good. I do have plans in the works. Some, could live on. Some can get away or return. Mm-hmm. Some are just all right. There's a little quirks I like to work out just to make sure like roleplay smooths out there. Like I like to give other players incentive too on like. Right there on decision making, they're like, should you like go away with this there, or just say, all right, whatever they want to decide to do. So
treat it like those old adventure bugs. If this happens, turn to page 210 and read what happens.
Choose your own adventure.
And if they do survive, by the randomness of the RP, then it might lead to more RP. You never know. That's the good thing about RP is you never know when it's going to end or when it's going to keep going.
Yeah. Either things can go your way or things will not go your way, and you have to deal with consequences that happen in characters. Like, oh, well, this is odd turn events. I guess I have to play through this. I didn't expect this to happen. So
and if your NPC lives, now you have another open RP avenue for roleplay.
Yeah.
All right.
One of those dangling plot threads.
All right, great.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. Well, appreciate you calling in, Eric. You got anything else?
Go? No, I think that's pretty much it there. But that subject's for like a whole different for combat there. But anyways, I'll probably do this some other time. But that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, appreciate you calling RPMMORadio, bud. You have a good night. Thanks for calling.
You too. Beware of the thunder.
Right. Yeah, and it's getting ready to roll in. So that's pretty much it on NPCs. One thing I did want to get to real quick is this little infographic. I mean, 20 years for someone still playing a video game is pretty good. So here's what they've released on some of the stats. The 7,305 days have passed, obviously. Number of active guilds still in EverQuest 1. Now, this is EverQuest 2, 20 years, 1999. 142,511 active guilds in a 20-year-old game.
That's some dedication, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, given some of those might only have like one dude in it still playing the game, but it still counts.
Yeah, it counts.
And it's not the same game it was when it started.
No.
It's totally different.
No. Okay, and now this one here actually amazed me. 465 hours. Average of total hours played per character.
That's insane.
So that takes into account people that like logged on and created a character and played for like 3 or 5 hours versus, for example, Tharkus, highest played time on a single character currently on Lucklin, 4,750 days.
My goodness.
Now keep in mind, 7,305 days have passed since 1999. This guy has played this game for the majority of 1/3 of the last 20, or 2/3 almost of the last 20 years. Damn!
Never underestimate the power of Evercrack from back in the day.
No kidding. Daggum. But okay, this one is the top 5 most played races. Number 1, human. Number 2,
I would have said Dark Elf.
Number 2,
I would have said Dark Elf too.
Dark Elf.
Yep.
Number 3, Wood Elf. Number 4, High Elf. Now, this is the one that surprised me. Number 5, Barbarian.
Yep.
I was kind of surprised by that one.
I knew a lot of barbarians.
Yeah. Now, when I thought of it, that made sense. But typically, a lot of people like EverQuest 2, that barbarians were not a well-loved. There weren't a lot of them. And of those that did,
it be a good shaman.
Yeah. Most played classes was number 5 was Magician. That one actually kind of surprised me a little bit. That was not a really overly easy class to play.
But they were really OP.
Oh yeah.
In the
number 4 was Cleric. Number 3, Necromancer. Number 2, Druid.
Number next.
Number 2 and Druid together, apparently. Druid was my class, of course. Gokuo-san, because I was original and didn't roleplay then. And number 1, of course, Warrior, which is probably not really all that much of a surprise. This one is actually kind of cool. 1,432 dragons are in EverQuest 1. Different dragons.
Sure they all been slayed.
Probably. Except for the sleeper. Of course, except for that glitch that they actually managed to do it with. Let's see here. 400,000 plus is the number of NPCs. That is a lot of NPCs.
That's a lot of dialogue.
A lot of, especially for that game, because it wasn't just like a bleh. They had a lot of stuff in it. Let's see. Gnomes versus ogres. Gnomes, of the 16-player races, gnomes are the shortest race at 3 feet tall. Ogres are the largest at 9 feet tall and good at blocking exits, apparently.
Yep. Well said.
1,600 plus are the number of zones. 1,600 zones. And I'm sure that's like little instances and things like that, but that's still a shit ton of zones. Which is equal to the size of 1,850 digital square miles of land and sea, which is about the size of Delaware.
Yep.
So they've
that's
recreated
insane.
Delaware, only, interesting. Because it's Delaware.
Don't forget Carey Isle. No one went to,
nothing
and I
happens in
noticed.
Delaware. I mean, I guarantee you, when you come to the shore in Delaware, there's not a giant cyclops below the dock that you can't see that will kill you the second you get off of it. That doesn't happen.
Yep. Good times.
I love this. Roughly the number of NPCs responding directly to /hail 10,000. I don't know why that's even a number, but it cracked me up. And this one's near and dear to anybody that's ever played EverQuest 1 or 2. 350,640 is the number of times Fippy Darkpaw has been killed.
Yes.
Oh,
Good old Fippy Darkpaw.
poor Fippy.
Die in a fire, Fippy.
Oh, yeah, and most of those, I think 300,000 are the number of times he's been killed because people went back after they hit a higher level to kill his ass in the newbie zone when he snuck up on them.
Yep.
152,000 items in the game. That is ridiculous. 67,612 recipes. Good Lord, this game has been out forever. I didn't even know this was in the game, but 2,692 chapels sold for weddings. I didn't know you could get married in EverQuest now. That was long after I left. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. This one,
Wow.
Strafei, this one, 250,000 plus characters with the original Journeyman's boots.
Dude, yes. Those boots will save your backside.
Sadly, I am not one of them.
No, you never got your Journeyman's boots?
No, I kept getting. Was it the giant that you had to kill? Or
Cyclops.
or
The
whatever?
Cyclops. The
I
Cyclops,
kept getting
think.
KS.
Yeah, killed still.
Did I ever tell you all that story?
Yeah.
Of how I got my J boots?
No, I don't think. But even if you have,
Well,
tell it again.
There was an erudite necromancer and a druid and a wood elf druid sitting there camping him. And this is back in the day I was playing Wood Elf Rogue. And I was invisible, hide sneak. I was watching this go down. They killed him. And then the two were arguing about who was going to loot the ancient Cyclops ring. So I was sitting there in sneak mode, right-clicking feverishly on that corpse. And as soon as it went open, I looted it. I appeared. I collected it. They stopped their arguing. They looked at me. I then / quit. I stayed out of the game for a week.
Mm-hmm.
Came back, got the rest of the stuff, got my boots, and I'm pretty sure whoever those two were. I mean, they both had dead. That one guy had dead man floating. One had so I don't know why they wanted it,
Right.
but I'm sure they were hunting me for a while.
Oh man.
Needless to say, I was a rogue, and I pulled a rogue move. And
Yeah, you pulled a dick move, but hey, shit or get off the pot. You guys should have figured that out beforehand. Just saying.
right, I was like 17 at the time. And
Yeah,
I was,
just typical exactly what teenagers do in games these days. It's just a game, man. Don't be so serious about it.
why you mad, bro?
Let's see. 13,700 quests have over. So yeah, okay. That was a weird way of writing it. Over 13,700 quests and over 36,000 objectives.
Wow.
God, 56,926 spells. That is a lot of spells.
That's a lot of spells.
That is a lot of spells.
man.
That's ridiculous. Now the rest of this is let's see. That's just all their 25 expansions and the dates they came out. Really,
I will say, if you do miss the old days, Project 1999, it's a fun trip down memory lane if you like the hard mode. But boy, is it hard!
But don't they have? They also have an actual legitimate progression server now, that they sponsor, don't they? I think.
They do.
Yeah.
The live one does, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're unlocking the next X pack, and I'm like, well, if you don't
Yeah.
If you're like me and Ashton, everything when it went to Planes of Power, stuff started getting wonky.
I think Planes of Power was when I got tired of it. The Legacy of Yakesha, and I think I got out. It was Omens of War was when I left, and that was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th expansion in 2000.
I tried it again at Omens of War, and I was like, all right, this just sucks. I'm done.
Yeah, it was, and from there they just got really weird. They're just making shit up now. So that's 25 expansions. That's also very impressive. But no, I love when games come out with the little, like Call of Duty, when they're like number of bullets fired. It's like, okay, it's like 18,000 trillion bullets.
Yeah.
Is that a stupid statistic? Yes.
Yeah.
Still kind of neat. That's a lot of button clicking.
That is.
So no, it's it's old school. It's the grandfather of almost everything we all play today. You still got to respect it at least a little bit, even if Daybreak turned it into a garbage fire. Yeah, can't do much about that. So with that, anybody else have anything before we kick this pig and get on out of here?
I just want to say one thing before we go on the NPC topic. If you've got an event planned out and you're planning on using NPCs, do like Jazz says, write everything down, because that is one thing that will save you. Just make sure you keep like a little journal, and that way, Ericus, if his RP keeps going, say something happens and one of his guys survives or whatever, you got something to go back to. So write it down. I mean, that because I know I would have to, because I can't keep track of stuff like that.
Yeah, it does help. It definitely, if you got I used to be really good at remembering all those little ins and outs, and as I've gotten older and it's more cobwebs and clutter up there, my brain space, it needs a maid.
Also, in the unlikely event that back in the day on the Ichi server, if you were the said erudite necromancer and wood elf druid that fell victim to my thievery, just know those boots saved my backside so many times, and your sacrifice is well worth it. We said all hate mail at. Well, there ain't gonna be an address, so sorry. Tough plug.
RPMMORadio at gmail.com. I'll make sure he gets it.
That's right.
And I'll give you his home address and phone number.
Please don't.
So
see, they're always trying to get rid of me with a freaking pudding pop anyway. Maybe that's fitting.
Pudding pops. All right. Anyway. Okay. Well, with that, let me turn on the music here. Lower it down a little bit. All right. Well, I think that'll do it. I'm good. Everybody good?
Good.
We're all good. It's
good.
We're all amazing.
All good. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. So
Bye,
thanks for
everybody.
tuning in. RPMMORadio.com/Discord. Join us on the Discord server. Remember, we won't have show next week, which will be, I don't know, the end of March 30th. Sure, why not? We're not going to be here March 30th. We're just going to take the day off, do stuff with family, friends, probably just sit on our asses and play video games, but take a break. And we will come back bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and probably complaining about something. More likely the state of MMOs currently. At the beginning of April, when it starts to rain. Like the walls at Tanagra. With Daylock and Janaid. Whatever it was. So, appreciate everybody tuning in. Remember, tune in next time when we'll go over why halflings, and they really shouldn't even be NPCs or playable or a thing at all. Ever. Next time on RPMMORadio. Play on and keep the roleplay going. Good night, everybody. The thoughts and opinions of those on RPMMORadio are just that, and should not be taken as the gospel truth. Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great video game rock covers and original music.